Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Zero number 488S-CL. This material is adhesive gasketing. I'm just looking to see where the end of it is. I'd like to pull some of it out of the card and take a look at it. Oh yeah, we found it. Sure. Okay. We'll just peek it out a little bit. I don't want to unravel the entire run of the material. This 488 is a very petite version of the typical teardrop style gasketing. The 488 material is really nice to use when you have a and it's so small we're not going to see much of it, I suppose, on the camera. A very petite area in which you're working. You don't have a lot of room in terms of what it can be compressed down to. You might have a tight gap to begin with, and that's why you might consider the 488. That's a peel-away paper backer covering the 3M adhesive on the back, and I specifically say 3M because it is absolutely the consensus of the hardware industry where adhesives are concerned. Coincidentally, along with my actual experience using 3M adhesives, that it is the highest caliber available, period. No company manufactures an adhesive product that does a better job than 3M. That's just my experience, and the fact that these high-end manufacturers use 3M, Zero and others, and not everybody does. I would personally not consider buying an adhesive product if it wasn't 3M based. There's 3M, and then there's everyone else. Anyway, moving on. So the 488 is a really small version of this. I guess we're not done talking about how great 3M is. I can do that all day. It's not going to come off. Okay, I'm going to take a small sample of this. This client has a 3068 door size, and they've sent a 17-foot roll, so I know that we have an adequate quantity for me to nip off 3 inches of it, because I do want to show you the dimensional properties of the 488S. So the S means silicone. Silicone is really great because silicone is superior. Every insert material has its own, what I believe to be their strong suit. Whether it be silicone or neoprene or vinyl or bristle or polyurethane, closed cell neoprene, open cell neoprene. Silicone is great. I think its hallmark is that it stays very flexible at extreme temperatures, especially hot temperatures. I've had here in the southeast, I've had customers like power generation plants that are in southern, in the southeast, here in Florida. Where in the summer on a roof, a door that has gasketing on it, those are going to be some epically 3-digit type of temperatures that you're dealing with. You're going to want a piece of gasketing that's not going to prematurely fatigue in that application, and silicone is great for it. Other inserts have their hallmarks, and I could talk about them, but for me, extreme temperature, wide temperature range is silicone. Plus, it's very soft. It's very, it's durable, yet pliable. Okay, it retains its original shape. It can be highly compressed, and it can pop back to the way it was. Very durable in that regard. Now, the 488 is a petite version of the typical teardrop, and what I mean by petite is that it is smaller than the typical material in that it is 3/8 wide, and my caliper tells me 0.355. Obviously it's silicone, so I'm not getting completely accurate. 0.355, and then the thickness is 187, which is 3/16. And my caliper tells me, yeah, that would be accurate. 187, sure. So it's 3/16 rather than the standard 1/4 inch. So this will permit you to compress that down in an environment where, if you have a fire-rated, well, if you have a wood door, let's just skip fire-rated. This wouldn't apply for that. But if you have a wood door and your margin is less than 1/8 of an inch, you're not going to try to stick that traditional 1/4 inch thick material. You'll need to go with something smaller. And that's where this comes into play. Now, you also might have an application where you don't have a lot of room, and you can't go with a 1/2 inch or bigger. And 3/8 is perfect for your example, and that's what this would be. Real great option for that. Okay, let's switch to the screen view where we can look at the mounting drawing along with the product brochure. Let's do that next. Now, this is the item indeed that we are looking at. Okay, and here are the links that we're talking about. Product brochure and mounting drawing. Let's take a look at mounting drawing. Okay, so these really should be called installation instructions. We're going to get to that in a moment. Here is your dimensional cross section. That doesn't help much. Okay. Mounting drawing, we'll rename that to installation instructions. Product brochure. Now this is handy because it will allow you to review what you're looking at. One image alone for the 188 and the 488. They install the same way, the difference being the size. The 188 is your common 1/4 by 1/2 versus 3/16 by 3/8. The letters here tell us the color, which are defined up in the upper right-hand corner. Okay, Cl is clear silicone. Other common items that we can see from Zero, I can tell you that they're all reasonably common, but we do sell more of the 8150, the 117, this double bat wing occasionally, not very often. Certainly have sold the 824. I mean, we've sold all of the material, but those were the most common ones. Okay. Obviously, if you're looking for the most petite footprint, that 488 is going to do it for you. They have an FS, and that's going to be Intumet rubber. Intumet is going to give you the ability to have an intumescent feature on your gasketing if you needed to. If that was required by code, by the listing of your door manufacturer, it will give you that ability. Okay. Smoke rated, fire rated, acoustically tested, air infiltration tested is what all of those mean. Okay. Now to the installation instructions. Let's dive into the world of how to install this material. It's just one page, and let's dive into it now. Okay. Now here we are at the installation instructions, and the summary of the installation instructions, if you take nothing else away from it, the one thing to take away is the frame must be, when they say thoroughly in caps, they really mean thoroughly. It must be utterly clean and free of any dust, debris, any oil, any residual cleaning products. The paint, if it's been recently painted, it has to be cured at least a week. It has to be so thoroughly clean that it might initially surprise you as to how important that is. However, once the material is clean, you can guarantee a very substantial bond of the material that will keep it working and staying in place correctly. The first time I put this material on, I was convinced I had the frame clean. Well, went back an hour after to check, and sure enough I had detachment. And then I realized upon further inspection, no, it could have been cleaned better. And that's where I went wrong. And I only did that, performed that sort of mistake one time. Surface of the frame to be thoroughly cleaned, where the gasket's to be applied. Solvent or common detergent cleaner may be used. Please make sure to check for any impediments or loose paint and remove them. Leave no trace of any cleaning material. An alcohol wipe would be a good way to start, and actually probably a good way to finish. Completely free of lint, dust, and debris has to occur. Okay, step 2, completely dry, so more about cleaning. Gasketing is best applied at basically room temperature. Don't store the material. Don't order it unless you know you're going to use it within 6 months, let's say. And if you are going to keep it on the shelf, make sure it's in a climate-controlled area. Obviously, they recommend that the material is installed after the doors and frames have been painted and the paint is dried and cured. So the installation aspect itself, don't stretch the material. The first piece of gasketing should be the header and should be the entire length of the head. Measure and cut the weather stripping to size and locate properly. And the diagram here is where you're applying it. On the face of the stop, at your lock side and your header, on the face of the stop, then on your hinge rabbet on the hinge side. So when they're saying to measure and cut and do not stretch, you've measured it, you cut it to length. So if your piece is longer when you get to the end, you know you've stretched it. Immediately detach and attempt it again. Okay. Leave approximately a 1/16 of an inch between the seal and the door frame. That's because it's going to obviously compress right in this area. It'll fold down a little bit. If it's 3/8 in its natural state, it'll be a little bit greater than 3/8 when it's folded down. Or at least it'll be ever so slightly smaller. Remove the paper backing from the self-adhesive strip 1 to 2 feet at a time and press firmly into place as you align and install the gasketing on the head. I like to work with a shorter length because I have less of a tendency to want to stretch it to make it straight. Patience is really the best way to proceed installing this material straight. You know, your frame is full of nothing but straight lines, and you'll really, I've seen this material installed in a very wavy, haphazard fashion that looked horrible. So patience and time is how you'll end up getting that not only secure but looking good as well. Then go to the strike jamb next, and then finally the hinge side. So just be mindful to observe these installation points. You don't want to install on the lock and the header on the rabbet because that will be a point of weakness, where every time the door hits the material, it will want to pull the adhesive away, is the bottom line. Do not close the door immediately after installation, and when you get it installed, lots of pressure, a tremendous amount of pressure to be applied to get a real positive seal. Wait 20 to 30 minutes after the material is initially applied. For setup, other manufacturers say close the door and leave it closed. Within 2 or 3 hours, you can remove it and replace it. Put it on solidly the first time. Leave it alone, don't touch it. And the next day on the job site, you should be in real good luck. Okay. Any detaching that you notice immediately, you can immediately rectify that, but it has to be immediately that you're rectifying it. Okay. So that is the installation instruction of this material. Now, let's jump back to the camera view and conclude this video. So in conclusion, we've gone over the installation instructions. We've gone over what it looks like, how to install it, where you use it, your smoke-rated doors, your fire-rated doors that require this material, any doors that you're looking for, air infiltration, sound attenuation. But also it's just inexpensive and easy to install material. You could use this anywhere that you want to just, give yourself some sort of a buffer between the door and frame. You could also use this in other areas. I've had people use this in crafting scenarios where they were placing material on top of here. And use your imagination. You can use it for a lot of things, is the bottom line. Okay, and also available in all those different finishes as well. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Zero products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. That full product catalog will allow you to review a tremendous, or I should say a comprehensive offering of weather stripping options. This can also be done, I believe, ligature resistant as well. Yeah, it is. So what will happen is if I pull on this, I can pull it apart and break it if I really want to, but with ligature resistant, that would have broken pretty quickly in my, pulling procedure. So ligature resistant is available. Any questions on the 0488S in a clear finish or any other Zero product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.